Welcome to the John and Tam Jam podcast. The first track, I'm looking at the North America track listing,
Okay.
by the way. So the first one is Drive My Car,
Mm-hmm.
which, first, okay, I want to kind of, when we talk about the word, I want to kind of go back to that one a little bit because there's something in relation to both those two songs that, maybe I'm sure you've heard about. Love Cirque du Soleil, like the
Mm-hmm.
Love out soundtrack. I'm sure you listened to it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to we'll talk about that when I get to the word. Yeah, it's Drive My Car is a cute, like, funny enough, like the first opening track of the sound. I don't have a lot of commentary. It's a nice song about driving a car, and I remember they played on Full House when Danny lost his Corvette, I think it was, and then they got him a new one and they played it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it.
I like it. I think it's a great driving song for the opening of an album. Like it's just I think the harmonies are great and it sets a tone for the album that's kind of interesting where it's um the album is really, I don't know, it's very western, it's very
Western, yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
yeah, it's just
Western.
a good start. It's a good start to the song. I mean to the album. I mean, I think it's a fun song, and it's one that I could easily forget about and then come back to it and be like, "Oh yeah, this song fucking rocks." Like, it's like, "Oh yeah, this song
Oh,
really kicks it," you know?
yeah, and it is kind of funny that, like, this is, like, I think their first, like, car song, because you think about a lot of the early '60s rock bands, they would sing about, like the Beach Boys car songs and other
Mhm.
early rock. They sing about car, like, different, like, racing and stuff, but I can't really think of, like, any other song about driving cars before this one that the Beatles ever did. I mean, maybe they have. I have to, like, really go through their entire discography again, which I know we don't really have time for. But yeah, no, Genku song. This one I'm curious. This one, Norwegian Wood, this Burnish Flown. Okay, this one, like, I could probably spend a whole episode talking about, but
Mhm.
I have a very easy abridged perspective. I can just as well.
Yeah.
There's definitely, like, again, like, people talk about what the song's about, whether it's subtle, whether it's transparent. I mean, clearly, to me, I think it's pretty transparent in terms of, like, what what he's referring to. Is
Mhm.
it a Scandinavian woman he had a one night stand with? I don't know, but
Yeah.
that seems to be the case, unless it's, again, it's like, maybe, like, because sometimes John can, like, the Beatles can kind of, like, the whole conspiracy stuff, the Paul's Dead conspiracy stuff, like, fans can kind of, they can, like, sometimes even they'll just make stuff up too, like, even what's her name, Olivia Rodrigo would admit to, like, just making up entire stories or songs. Sometimes they're not always
Yeah.
about stuff that happens to you. But what's your take on this?
Well, Billie Eilish does the same thing, especially when she was younger.
Oh,
They
she'd make
just
up songs.
Yeah, they make up stories. She and her brother Phineas, they would just make up stories and it was like a character. But he said a couple of things like that he was trying to be like sophisticated in writing about an affair in like a smoke screen type of way. And then Pete
Ambiguous.
Shotton, yeah, like that it was kind of like maybe this is about an affair, maybe it's not. But he said he couldn't remember any specific woman that he was with, but Pete Shotton said that it might have been about a female journalist. So if it was that, then it would be about Maureen Cleave. Um, so that likely about Maureen Cleave, the bigger than Jesus journalist. So
Oh
if
yeah.
that's
Oh,
it, then
that guy.
that's yeah. So it could be anybody, So like I don't know. I think it could have been a bazillion different muses for this particular song because all the boys had their fun, but I don't know. I think it's a very beautiful song. I think it's really kind of funny, at the end, and I like it. I just
Oh
think
yeah. No,
it's different.
I like playing the chords too is kind of fun too. When
Yeah.
I fiddle with my guitar. And yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, great,
Yeah.
great. I like whenever John does the finger picking, it's always, or maybe it was George doing it, but one of them doing it. I always like the finger picking, especially when he started doing the Donovan finger picking later on.
Mhm.
Which I didn't even know until recently that he also does for he does the finger picking with an electric guitar for Octopus's Garden. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
great finger picking on that song. And then we got "You Won't See Me," which is I it's a let's I'm not sure how to feel about this one. To be honest, I like the song, but it's like is it one where I mean it's you like the album does not feel complete without it. I will say that, but like as a
Mhm.
stand, because sometimes like there are a few tracks on here that do stand alone, stand on their own too, but this one definitely feels more like detrimental to being a part of this particular album because like 'cause, I've heard like "In My Life," "Girl," and other Beatle albums, but and even Paul, like I don't think he even did the song live until like 2000s. So so
Mhm.
it's a song I like, but I don't know. I mean, do you have any more commentary, better commentary?
I actually really, really like this song. I feel like it's one of the first Paul songs that are, well, there's a couple in Help, but that are really like he's talking about his drama, and this one is definitely about Jane, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of like, okay, Paul, spill the tea. But I like the way that this song sounds. I like how Paul sounds on it. I like the ooh la la la's. I appreciate pretty much everything, you know. I love the tambourine. I just think it's a fun song.
It sounds great
And
live for sure. Like I'm
it
glad
does sound, yeah,
I'm
it's a good
surprised it took them
song.
this long.
Yeah.
It's surprised it took them this long to do it live.
Yeah.
It's great. Oh, and this one's probably may not be my favorite, but it's second or third. Nowhere Man is probably like if you're ever like it's like one of those songs where if you ever just feel like you're completely alone or you feel bad for somebody, you can even it can be a self reflection. It can also be a reflection on somebody else that like you feel like you ever feel like you're going nowhere, you have an
Mhm.
aimless direction in life. Like I can tell I work part-time for a job, and sometimes sometimes I drive Uber and Lyft.
Mhm.
I just kind of sometimes I feel completely directionless. So when I think about Nowhere Man, that's probably like the song I think about me the most, where I'm just
Yeah.
like, Nowhere Man, please listen. You don't know what you're missing. Nowhere Man, don't hurry. Like, like I have like the biggest like phobia of, I have the biggest FOMO, fear of missing out, so
Mhm.
like when I feel like everyone else is doing things in the world and I'm just kind of like, whether they're traveling or whether they got a great job or they got a family or they're married and have kids, I feel like, am I missing that? Am I just, where am I at right now? Or where my life has led to? Am I, and I don't mean to get too, I don't try to get too personal here, but like this song just really like, when I think about this song, like, doesn't have a point of view, knows not where he's going to.
Mhm.
Like, isn't he a bit like you and me? Like, yeah, again,
Mhm.
it could be interpreted as both a song about yourself, or you can identify with the song, or you can it sounds like somebody you know. Like it's
Yeah.
just one of those feelings, and when I feel like at my absolute like lowest self, like I think about that song, and then but then it kind of also go, but you're not the only nowhere man. There's other people that are nowhere people. Like where,
Yeah.
even the guy in the cartoon movie,
Yeah.
Jeremy, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Boo, Hillary.
Yeah.
He was they. Well, I mean, were they even a he? Were they could have been a they?
Yeah.
You don't know. So
Yes.
like it could, and then yeah. So again, that's I didn't mean to go into too much detail about
No,
that
you're
one, but
fine. You're fine.
that's all right. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, that's actually funny that you brought up Jeremy Hillary Boob because I hadn't really connected to this song until I did my Yellow Submarine video. And I really had to get into the movie to do that video because the movie is just it's a mess. And like the production, not the movie itself. And watching it and
Mm.
seeing that scene, that's when I started to connect to it, where it's like, wait, you're leaving me, wait, like, and I'm not good enough to go with you, and wait, and you're sitting there and you're just spinning around and the colors are moving without you, and you're just hoping, wondering like if you're gonna just be like a nowhere man. And then Ringo's like, oh, wait a minute, he's a bit like you and me, let's take him. and there's something that's really almost like healing about that. Um,
It
I
does kind
just
of it does make the song kind of a little more um bittersweet and let that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it brings like a little bit of a resolution to the song, I feel, and that's when I really first started to connect to it. And I think maybe I felt more sad about it beforehand, and then after that, it did kind of become a more of a bittersweet moment. But I read somewhere, I can't remember, but someone wrote like John's vocal was both intimate and universal, and I feel like, oh wow, that's a really great way of summing it up. Where John sounds both like intimate, like in the room with you, but also universal, as in it covers all of us. That's kind of how I always felt about it.
There's just a lot of there's so many different angles to that song you could really go in, and I that's what I really appreciate about that one.
Yeah.
And let me just I just lost the track list.
None of this is personal.
Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. So now we got um think for yourself. Think for
Mm,
yourself, which is good. It's a good George song. It's not one of my favorite George songs, but again, I mean, in fact, I think the other track we're going to talk about here is the better one of his two he's did.
mm,
But I like it. I like it again. I definitely like. I think it's a little bit of a step down from I Need You, but way blows. Don't bother me. You like me too much, etc. Out of the water for sure.
yeah, this is, the George preachy songs where George is preaching at us. And um, it never really grew on me as much as the other George songs where it's kind of like, okay, who are you mad at? And he said like he doesn't remember who inspired it, but it was probably the government, which I guess makes sense. It's just,
Taxman.
um, yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I get it, but I don't know. It's just, it it felt like, I don't know. It's kind of the lyric and the song itself don't mesh for me right now, but we'll see. I My opinion changes all the time, but I do like the fuzz box. So there's that.
Yeah, I love what I love because I don't often emphasize like what specific instruments people use unless it's like a very unique like they use a cowbell or
Mhm.
a synthesizer like because I didn't even know like some bands even back as far back as '60s use synthesizers. But I'm really glad you have a great ear for like what specific instruments are used. I gotta try to do that more often. And then okay now go, oh yeah the word right. So this one
Yes.
okay so I remember. I don't know if you remember me asking this a while back, but I like when Beatles for Sale first came out. I always felt like that was their first attempt at being more very artsy and more of an organic, not like a non-commercial sound. And then I
Mhm.
think about the song, what's that? What you're doing? Like
Mhm.
so, the word. So like I didn't even think the word and drive my car could be mashed up before hearing that. And then what you're doing is in there too. Like that particular remix was always been my favorite one. And the because the word and also I know the word is also I think with the song that introduced like John and Yoko together. I think I don't know how true that is. I mean, if you have any information on that,
I
that'd be
do not have any
so.
info
But
on that.
as for the word itself, I like I because I like how they use the piano. You know, and then so fine sunshine. It's the
Yes. Yeah.
and misunderstanding the word is good. See the word, and yeah. So I mean, I could see like Yoko like seeing that and interpreting it in her own
Mhm.
pretentious art world. And I'm not saying I don't mean to be. I'm not saying it as a pretentious in a negative way. Just in that like that's just like the perception people have of her that she was pretentious. Um,
Mhm.
maybe she might not be, but I'm not trying to have an objective opinion on that. I just think subjectively speaking, her work always came off to me as a bit pretentious.
Yeah. I
Not that I'm
understand.
yeah again I mean, if that's other if, I mean if you don't see it that it's fine if other people don't see it that way. No,
Yeah.
I'm not attacking the woman. I'm not saying
Yeah.
her like it's the art stuff she did was bad, but like I could see somebody I could recognize when people especially at that time thought her work was pretentious, especially when she went
Right.
public with her relationship with John. So I don't know.
Right.
Like I don't have like I mean that's kind of my history with the song. I like the song. I think again I like it more when it's mixed in with "Drive My Car" and "What You're Doing." And after hearing that Cirque du Soleil remix, made me think like, oh man, maybe in fact "Beals for Sale" kind of has a similar album cover vibe to Rubber Soul. Maybe
Yeah.
I might be completely way off here, but I'm
It's very much like fall vibes, autumn,
yeah,
you
that
know.
that because yeah, they both came out. Let's see, Rubber Soul came out in December
Mhm.
'65,
And
and
I
then
don't remember
I don't remember when
losing.
Beatles. I'll just maybe I could check really quick.
Let me look. It came out December 4th, so both December. So I guess
That's
it,
yeah,
yeah,
right before winter. Yeah, so
yeah.
that
So
makes sense.
they both do seem a little chilly on that front, not in a bad way. I do. I just really like the album covers for both of them.
Me too.
But yeah, okay. So I did find something about Yoko. So according to Barry Miles, it was at the end of '65 where Yoko turned up at Paul's house asking for an original manuscript to give to John Cage for his 50th birthday. But Cage was 53 in 1965, so like okay, but he collected musical scores to compare the diversity of notation. So Paul said, actually, you're going to need to go to John. And John gave her the multicolored manuscript of the word. But it says that it seems that John only met Yoko for the first time on November 9th, 1965 at Indica. So, or 1966, 1 year later. So, whatever that story is, we don't know if it's true or not. But
Well, yeah, I guess we'll never know.
we'll never know. Yeah.
And then I guess with the next one, Michelle. Yeah, Michelle is. Um, I did not know this that Paul was speaking in French.
Mm
In that one part, Très
hmm. Mm
Bien song. My French is terrible. I'm so
hmm.
sorry
Mm hmm.
to all the French listeners out there.
Yeah.
But that was always, because I guess I always was like he did that in French because I guess the woman he knew Michelle was French, if or maybe I don't know. I might be. I think I'm way off with
He
what.
asked it was like I think Ivan Vaughn's wife. Or wait, yeah, and her name is okay, let me see, Jan. And she said what's French for these are words that go together well, and it's like
Oh
sont
yeah,
de
yeah, yeah.
ma cuivant très bien ensemble, like something like that. My French sucks too, so I don't know. But that's what she said. So that's what he used. So Ivan Vaughn's wife, that good
Did,
old friend that introduced him and John.
and were you a fan of this song?
Yeah, I think that this song is actually really fun. I think it's very simple and it's catchy and it's just cheeky. I think that this is a great one that, I love you, I love you, I love you. Like I think this is one everyone can sing, it's a good one.
Right now, my machine. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I like, and every time talk to a woman, so I don't know if this ever happened to you, but like every time you meet somebody with was a song title for a name, like
Yeah.
I meet a woman named
Yeah,
I work with a woman named
Michelle,
Michelle.
Ma
Yeah,
Belle. Yeah.
I know, or Lucy, or yeah, just anyone with the name of like not just Beatles, but anyone with the
Anything,
or
yeah.
like yeah, the Oasis song Lila. My grandma's middle name is was Lila, and now I can't help but think of like her middle name
Well,
for every time I think of
yeah,
that song.
one of my friends' name is Caroline, and we're pen pals. So it's like Sweet Caroline, and then it's like Caroline Mighty Fine. Like I write all kinds of
Yeah, I mean,
titles on her front. Yeah,
yeah, my Beach Boys obsessions make me think of Caroline No too now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I
absolutely.
yeah same yeah, and I imagine there's a lot of songs with James and John in their title too. So we got let's see, interesting. So it's only love apparently was also on the Rubber Soul release of U.S. release of Rubber Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And so that song is both on variations of Help and Rubber Soul, which is interesting. But that's not the next song. Next song, What Goes On. This one's Ringo, right? Yeah, Ringo. What goes on in your heart?
Mm-hmm.
I liked that the three are harmonizing. Him, Paul, and
Very good
John.
harmonies. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Like sometimes it's really hard. Like unless you're like the Four Freshmen or the Beach Boys with the harmonies, like it's like to add baritone and or bass to tenors like to make it sound beautiful, and it does a really good job with it. And then Ringo sounds really good. It's really upping his game on this track. I think this. I could be again. I mean, I know you have all the information, but and I don't in front of me. But did he co-write this with them? Was this a Len McCartney Starkey?
Let me
I
see. I
I'm
don't.
not.
I just see John as the main songwriter. Oh wait, yeah, no, Lennon McCartney Starkey. I'm
Oh
seeing
yeah, it
that.
even
Yeah,
says yeah. Duh, it even says so on the track
yeah.
listing next to
There
it.
it
Like
is.
so, yeah, definitely. So so he definitely had his first foray into.
He said that he contributed about 5 words. So
Interesting. Was it?
yeah,
I wonder. I can only imagine with
do
those
not know. Yeah.
words. But no, it's a good Ringo track. Yeah, I mean, like, is it my favorite Ringo song ever? No, but
Mm,
it's like I like that he definitely has more range here, and I think that he's definitely not one note, which I
yeah.
appreciate. And he's not just the I mean, it has a little bit of a cowboy western vibe to this as well, but yeah,
Mhm.
I like listen, I like a little country, I like a little rock and roll. It's okay
Yeah.
it's okay to blend the two. I love folk and rock. People sometimes think they're the same, they're not. But like
Yeah.
when you blend folk rock together, you get something like this album, which was
I
inspired
think
by
that
a
it
lot of Bob
fits
Dylan.
really well in this album. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
can.
it just
I can even
fits.
see. Yeah, I can even see. Now I'm thinking about it because I know they said this was inspired. This was their Bob Dylan attempt at being like Bob Dylan, and I can
Yeah.
definitely see what goes on being like I don't know. The other day I saw you as I walked along the road. I could
Yeah.
definitely see him like do a song like that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I do. I do. I can kind of.
For
It's
you to
always
treat
fun.
me so unkind, tell me why. Yeah, I could see
What?
it.
Yeah, tell me why. Tell me
Yeah.
why. Yeah,
Tell
I
me
get.
why.
I know
Yeah.
such a fun guy to do an impression of. Yeah, no, and then okay, oh girl, this one, oh yeah, this one, I always found interesting because like when he did an interview I heard a few years ago when I saw like read a lot of the other Beatles interviews and stuff. I mean, I read most of the John stuff because there's only so much of it out there because he only had such a short life. So
Mhm.
I would listen. And he talked about his double fancy song "Woman" as like a
Mhm.
grown up version, like literally and metaphorically grown up version of the song "Girl." And I had to like think about that. I mean, I don't think it's like as literal of a sense of. I mean, I think it just in terms of how much he's matured since writing that. Because
Yeah.
like because you think about the lyrics of if there's is there anybody all about the girl Kim say like it's like completely it's like I don't know comparing your first girlfriend to or your first boyfriend or partner to like your last one. It's just
Yeah.
it's where you were then, where you were now.
Right.
And in fact, my dad loved the song so much, that
Yeah.
which apparently was lifted from another song from Summer Days, Beach Boys, Summer Days, Summer Nights, with the la 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 for the
Mhm.
song "You're So Good to Me," which is one of Tammy's favorite. My dad took their tit for one of his songs. He also worked on an album and that didn't sell or anything, but
Mhm.
he had it in his song, the title track, "Love Will Come Back to You." Like, I'll send you a link to that sometimes. He incorporated the tit 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 tit
Mhm.
in that, and then when he told me that, I never I'm like, wow,
You never unheard it. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I can't separate the two now,
Yeah.
but like when I do, the song is it's a very very melodic
Yeah.
beautiful melody's beautiful. The lyrics, it's just like because I know him and Stu, and they were like they did poetry. They wrote poems and things like before John wrote
Yeah.
lyrics. He wrote poems, right? And that's kind of true for a lot of songwriters too. Because I know Mick Jagger and Jim Morrison. They were like first for Freddie Mercury. They were all poets first, and then and even Bob Dylan. Yeah, it's just kind of there's something very poetic about the lyrics in the song. Like he's trying to tell
Yeah.
a story. Is anyone going to listen to my story? It's like not necessarily like a 3 act structure, but like in the terms of how a poet like reads aloud, like at poetry
Mm,
slams kind of thing.
right. Yeah. It's a really beautiful song, and it's very layered, and I just think it's I don't know. It's one of those ones that I remember seeing an interview with Brian Wilson, and he was like, at first, I was like, what are they doing? And then when he talks about it, he said the more that he listened to it, the more he was like, I get it. And it makes him emotional, which, always is pretty impactful.
yeah, I mean, the fact that you can make like, listen, anything that you if you can get Brian Wilson, like his favorite movie of all time is Norbit. Apparently, anything that you got that guy's anything,
That's pretty
any
funny.
like, yeah, you get anything that guy gives a stamp approval, and yeah, I mean that's definitely one. Yeah, like I've seen him talk about that one. Like rubber. Like, listen, there'd be no pet sounds if there was no Rubber Soul.
Right.
And there'd be no Sergeant Pepper if there was no pet sounds. So,
Right.
so thankfully songs like Girl, exist, and can have a profound effect on other musicians, and you can make great influence to make another great influence from one great album record to make another great record. And, it's like it's like music inbreeding of great like succession, and I'm all for it. I love music. I
Yeah.
love all types of music, and I remember, even Brian Wilson once said he once had a great time going to like a Coldplay concert. So, anything, anything that sounds, anything that gives you like a sound of like of beauty and um uh sentimentality, like, music is like, in movies, art is supposed to move you in a certain way, and
Yeah.
this one feels like, kind of like, yeah, you feel like this is meant, like all these songs, like look, I mean, even I'm Looking Through You, that song, I remember hearing like that song in the movie Ghost Town, where I think it was Greg Kinnear dies, character dies, he's a ghost,
Mm.
and he wants Rick. What's the guy? It's the Office guy. The Ricky Gervais. That's the guy. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. He was, and then I think Taya Leone was like his wife. Yeah, the Greg Kinnear's character dies. I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah,
Hmm.
sometimes I forget the character names, but I remember like the actors who
The
play the
actors.
characters.
Yeah, I know what you
And
mean.
then yeah, like right as he dies, the song they play is "I'm Looking Through You," and I'm like, well, that's an interesting way to use that song. Like, I mean, is it? I don't think it was meant to be written
Yeah.
like you're seeing ghosts. I know Paul would mention he had dreams of his mother is visiting him in his dreams, and that's how he made inspired by Let It Be.
Right.
But I'm guessing it's more of like, is it like I'm seeing through your lies?
Yeah. I think it's I'm seeing through your bravado. You know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
because Paul was always good. I think he always could tell when, especially if he knew people long enough, he could tell when they're lying. Like,
Bullshitting. Yeah.
yeah, like I noticed that a lot of times John was, I don't want to say pathological liar, but he had a tendency to lie,
Yeah.
and I think he was probably the guy that like like Paul, kind of like one of the people that Paul like would spend enough time with to kind of like, yeah, get
I'm
their
looking through you.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He
but
was
yeah, no,
almost
I
more
enjoy
of
the song itself.
like a pathological hider. He was hiding, I feel like, in
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
mean, would you
ways.
say? I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say he was like a lie detector necessarily, a litmus.
I
Uh,
I think Paul could do it with John, but I don't know. I think he was pretty bad at reading George. you know.
George, I mean, he was called the quiet one because he always like, because sometimes you couldn't get a read on the guy.
Right.
Um,
Hang on. Do you mind hanging on a second? I've got a cat situation. I don't know what they're doing. Hang on. Do you mind
oh yeah, no,
just
you're
wait? I think that something got knocked over. Give me
yeah.
just
Take
a
take
second.
take take your time. Last episode, something happened to the dog, so I
Oh
get it.
yeah, we're dealing with some sort of furniture mishap. Okay, I'll be back.
Pets, you can't live with them. You can't live without them. All right, so
Okay, I'm back.
welcome back. I remember when I used to have cats. I miss having a cat. Once when me and Tam move in together, that is on the list of things we want to do. Whether it's a cat or a dog. Sometimes, like, like mostly Americans, particularly Americans, like to treat their pets like their children, and it's a similar job description. I mean, I think it's a little more troubling to with kids, but
Yeah.
the principle of the fundamentals of raising them is similar. I would say.
Yeah,
Uh,
just having them around, yeah.
I mean, it's you're my first like established person I've talked to for a while. I haven't interviewed somebody with established background in quite some time. Sometimes I get nervous, like I sound like Chris Farley interviewing Paul McCartney on, or another guest on SNL. Do I ever give like a Chris Farley vibe off a little bit? Am I doing a good job here?
I think you're doing a great job. I have only seen the one where with Paul where he's like, "So what do you think about the Beatles or whatever?" Yeah, no, I
That
think
was
you did.
awesome.
Yeah, it's like Paul's like, yeah, yeah, bud. No, I think you're
Yeah,
doing
yeah. The thing
great.
you're not track, the love you take equals the
Yeah,
love you
yeah.
make. You remember that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, from my experience, Chris, the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that bit. I love
Yeah,
that bit
that's
in
pretty
SNL. Like
funny.
modern SNL, I don't care for, but like the early, like the '70s, '80s, '90s,
Mm,
early 2000s, all over that for sure. All right. Oh wow, yeah, we only have three tracks left to talk about. So let's.
there we go.
I mean, okay, this one's probably. I don't know if it's the most iconic song John's done with the Beatles. You can make an argument for A Day in the Life, Across the
Mhm.
Universe. But In My Life is probably like, man, when you're depressed, like this is a song like that you can go either way with it. Like you can feel like, no, there's beauty in the world. Like there's still beauty in the
Mhm.
past. There's still you still have something worth living for. It's a very existential song, I find, in a lot of ways. Because John, because you can relate to all the stuff John went to, like especially after going through my engagement ending. I think about all the
Mm,
people that have passed away, whether it's friends or that died too young, or I have a couple family members that passed away unexpectedly. And I
right.
think about relationship, like being in like a 5.5 year relationship, and then just kind of ending abruptly because of something stupid you did. That's why I guess I kind of really resonate with a lot of the struggles John went with, because I've lived through them. I've lived through
Yeah.
that pain of you love something and then you lose it, and then how do you cope with that, and I think
Yeah.
that's always been kind of. And I know that wasn't the original origin of the song. I mean, he wanted to make it more about trips on buses or something like that.
Yeah. I really like this song because I feel like the context of the lyric is so it's such
Oh
a
yeah.
dirty thing where it's like it's difficult, where it's like I all my friends and lovers, like some are living and some are dead and some are living. That is such a difficult and like deep down and hard to deal with moment. But the song itself is so clean. It's like this really clean cut off percussion, this really beautiful
Yeah, it
baroque
was.
instrumentation. It's such a
What was it called? A harpazoid? A harpazord? Harpsichord. Is
harpsichord, I
that what
believe.
that's a piano George Martin was
Yeah,
using?
yeah, let me see. Um, they were they weren't interested into they were kind of confused or they weren't happy with the instrumental bridge, and then they said so the part was difficult. Martin tried to reproduce a Baroque style harpsichord sound, and he did it at half speed of normal, piano an octave lower, and then they sped it up double.
That
So
makes sense. I could kind of hear it like having a little editing effect to it. Yeah, I could definitely.
even those little speed things shows just how experimental they were. Just not something that people were really doing then.
Oh yeah, no, it was like I think a lot of like the stuff like these a lot of these rock bands were doing were a lot ahead of their time in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. I mean, and it's kind of it's kind of funny. Like I was watching, definitely George Martin. Like I don't know, I guess like you could credit George Martin with a lot of the stuff the Beatles did. The Beatles definitely did quite a number of things to make them as big as they are. But George Martin really like is like definitely like people say like what Paul's the heart, uh, George of the spirit, John's the soul of the Beatles. Um, but I think George Martin's like was the wisdom of the Beatles. Like I feel like he was the older gentleman. He gave like nuance and sophistication to the group. In a lot of ways, he was kind of like a lot of the things that's Phil Spector would do, like George Martin would do as well. And so
Mhm.
I just one thing this is one of the things I really love. Like I saw George Martin doing it. I saw a video back in the day of like 20 years ago where George Martin was trying to dissect God Only Knows with Brian Wilson there, and he because like
Yeah.
if you can get George Martin impressed, that's you
That's
know
a big
that's
deal.
that
Yeah.
is that is a great deal, and in the fact that that is probably his finest contribution. I think this is in my opinion his
Mm.
finest contribution to the band. I think maybe there's something I'm not thinking about, but like honestly, this for me personally,
I don't know. He does a lot of piano stuff, but as far as iconic, this would be it for me. And it's
I'm there with you. I'll say
yeah.
I'm there.
It is it's just extremely iconic. And it's so, like I said, it's this, like, it's a difficult subject matter to talk about, how much you love them and how much you love all these people. And John has lost so many people, and it's such a clean song,
Oh
like
yeah,
Snap, it's
Uncle
great.
George, like it's like I don't know, like
Mhm.
I mean, like when his uncle, he lost his uncle George at 15. I mean, it's kind of like Peter Parker. He lost his uncle Ben when he was 15, and
Mhm.
lost his girlfriend and
Yeah.
a friend. Yeah, it's very it's very interesting parallels there. But even though
Yeah.
all that stuff predates Spider-Man,
Yeah.
yeah, but but what do you do with that pain?
Yeah.
What fix or not, like the fact that something like those things happen to you, like what do you like you can like whether it's like John Lennon's like PTSD of his family life and passing of Stu and his uncle and mother and or or if you're going through like a nervous like you went through a panic attack and depression like Brian Wilson, what do you do with that pain?
Yeah.
You make like I like what happened with me a few weeks ago where I was trying to negotiate my way back into a game I was kicked out of years ago, and then
Mm.
some misconstruction happened. They're like, I don't want you back. You sound like you're being passive. I'm just like, screw you. I'll just start my own role play again. And
Yeah.
it went over pretty well 2 days ago. So I can be angry and bitter about something, or I can just kind of just do something about it. I can just
Yeah.
so I create an environment like that's not toxic, and I'm really kind of ashamed of myself that I even entertained the idea of going back there because it's a very male toxic masculinity. I mean, there's like one or two ladies there, but it's predominantly like a uh, white privilege, male masculine role play
Mhm.
thing. And I don't think Tammy should be involved with that anyway. If they're gonna like just have
Yeah.
these little minor squabbles, and but again, John just always. I mean, John was the same way. Like John would get very take things very over personalized things a lot. You know, whether it was
Mhm.
the Brian Epstein. And again, I'm not trying. I don't mean to compare him. John Lennon's better, like a more talented man than I'm ever going to be. But like in terms of how he reacted to things and how I react to things, I would get short tempered. I would be very knee jerk, and he was like whether it was with the whole
Yeah.
honeymoon thing with the Barcelona where he punched
Yeah.
out somebody, or whether he was angry. People were I don't know if you read this in the Philip. Remember this from the Philip Norman book where a kid was repeating himself over and over again with his middle
Mhm.
name Winston, Winnie, like
Yeah.
like a playground taunt, and John would get mad, like just sometimes people just get and but I think as but that was when he was a kid. I was a kid. I would not respond to insults and getting punched in the face like that anyway. I'd do something about it. And John was always like that was that's like so John took all that pain, like, or you can go back to even like Vincent van Gogh. You
Yeah.
take all that pain in your life and you make something out of it. And I think in my life is definitely like if there was a painting that belonged in the Louvre, if music was a painting, that would definitely be one that would belong in that museum for sure. And
Mhm.
so yeah, we could go on and on about in my life
Yeah.
for 2 episodes, maybe even three. But let's. I
Yeah,
know
no
we got
kidding.
two more tracks, but I love. But yeah, like that song, like yeah, like love it. I wouldn't change a thing.
No,
If
seriously.
I needed someone again, like I said earlier, um, it's probably again out of the two the best. I mean, this was even played at his memorial show in
It's a
2002.
great song.
I love listening to it. Yeah, it puts me like I don't know, like for me, like this song and It's All Too Much are like the two George songs that like really make me appreciate him as a person, if that makes any sense. Like he
Yeah.
just like he had his own way to articulate his lyrics and his own like he was always and he's always very he was like the spiritual he was the most spiritual of the group. He even I mean out of he did
Mhm.
transcendental meditation more than the other three, especially Ringo. He was always like I saw some videos of him and Danny they were all when they were just hanging out in a room, listening to music, giving each other a hug. I'm like, George is such a great guy. I'm
Mhm.
glad my dad saw him live. I kind of seeing him anytime I see footage of him or John like just being good people and just having a laugh or even or having a joint or or playing on the guitar. I'm like, damn it, I wish I was around, I was alive or into them at that time, because I can understand being bummed like about being late to the party, but like I was like just during the pandemic when I saw like Love and Mercy, and I was just starting to get into. I was like, it's like that friend you're just starting to get to know them and they die. I was just starting to get to know Brian Wilson and his work. I never got to see him live, so that makes me feel sad, and I feel sad that I didn't get to see George live, or John.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
it's like that going back to my FOMO fear, and
Right.
like if I needed someone, I feel like I needed George. I need like sometimes we don't need. It's like it's like all you need is love. Love isn't always you need. I remember Rod Reaver said this in this review for Nowhere Boy. Love is all we need, but it's never always what we get.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's kind of deep. Yeah. Oof.
Roger,
Yeah, it's very true.
Roger's was one of my favorite critics, so he's always
Yeah.
like deep with his reviews.
Yeah. Ugh, it's a good song. It's really, really very beautiful. And it seems like it's kind of like, okay, the other songs that he's put out yet, like so far at that point, they just don't even come close
Oh,
to this song.
I forgot what I want to tell you. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
This one, and I remember hearing Neil Innes talk about being in Abbey Road Studios, listening to "I Want to Tell You." Yeah, like that has its like they're both like very similar songs,
Mhm.
but yeah, if I needed some because if I someone predates, I want to tell you
Mhm.
like you're kind of growing with George. That's for me. That's one of the reasons why I prefer "In My Life" over "A Day in the Life" as a
Mhm.
masterpiece because that "In My Life" was probably John's first masterpiece. Well, I won't say if I needed someone was George's first masterpiece. Like again, I feel like this is the song where I was really starting to get to know who George is, what he's about, what like while my guitar gently weeps, and then something like this guy like had such hidden talent, and it sucks that he only got like what 2 3 songs per album. Like they could have like had him like they could have done what Mike Love and Brian Wilson did, where Mike Love did all the A sides, Brian sang all the B side stuff. John
Yeah.
John and Paul can do switch between A's or double A's even, and let George do all the B stuff. Like
Yeah.
he really like they really like like, and I don't think I'm not blaming them. Obviously, I think the record probably Capitol or EMI or they probably were the ones who were like we prefer John or Paul mostly doing all of them. Sorry, George.
Yeah.
We'll let you do like a few here and there, even more than Ringo, but or Lisa Lennon McCartney. Like
Yeah.
it's studio politics. What are you gonna do? But
Yeah.
yeah, I like that one. And then, all right. So we talked about this one a little bit earlier, where you say this one doesn't bother you as much as what was the one that said that did bother you again? It was on Help
It
It.
was I can't believe it's let's see. Oh, I you like me too much.
Oh yeah, that one bothered. Yeah, this
But
one
Run
does.
for Your Life doesn't bother me one bit. It just really doesn't. It's the same it like logically the way I feel about both of those songs all, and You Can't Do That. It's just that it's a different time. Like that's how I feel. I'm like it was just they're just lyrics you guys are looking into it too. It's not
Like that's
cancelable
like the theme
and
of the show of this
yeah,
episode. This is
yeah,
a
it's
different
like
time.
it's just a different time. Like it's fine. Like I think we shouldn't be holding people accountable by their song lyrics. That's kind of insane. Like so it's
Yeah,
I
again, like
just
it's like yeah, it goes back to like like one of the reasons Lennon got shot or even George got
yeah,
stabbed, and then of course that guy in at the
the Imagine
Ash
document. Yeah.
yeah, Ashby, Ascot, or yeah, where
Yeah.
the guy, like, saying, yeah, he's taking stuff too literally, and John's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I could take crap and make a song about that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
people do take stuff. You can even, go. South Park made a great the Scroy McBoogerball episode, which was partially inspired by Len's murder revolving around catching the riot. You can even go use that episode as
Yeah.
a reference to just how people take things,
Too
interpret
lit
things too
too
literally,
literally. Yeah.
or overthink things about
Yeah.
in a song.
We're taking
You know,
it too seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, and and even John. I mean, like, and admittedly, I can't say I can get mad at the song either because John has said he regrets
Yeah.
doing all that stuff, and I think Jealous Guy was also kind of response to that song to a degree. And it was, again, I think it was could have been just John just having fun with words. I mean, you can even go back to or go forward into with Sergeant Pepper with getting better. Be used to beat my woman, keep her from the things she loves,
Yeah.
which Smash Mouth and removed from their cover. Um, for
Mm.
understandable reasons, different
Yeah.
times. So again, I mean, yeah, again, don't take them. Again, I guess don't take them too literally. I know there's like a narrative to cancel John or Paul or whatever for whatever
Yeah.
egregious acts they did in the past, but I don't think they've ever, look, I'm comparing them to like, I don't know, other monsters in history. It's like comparing the Harvey Weinstein or P Diddy or whatever. Like I
No.
wouldn't go that far. I mean,
No.
there's just no disputable evidence of like
Well, I did that video on the
right,
Beatles and domestic violence, and it's just, it's important to know like what we're talking about, what we're dealing with here, and then we like just don't forget these people are human. We need to talk about it seriously when it's time to talk about it seriously, and and nothing bothers me more than when people say, "Well, John did it once," and I'm like, "That no, that's just not." True, but it's also like it also shows the lack of mental health awareness and help and all kinds of stuff. It's just too much to get into, like, it's and to pin on one song, or what I'm saying. It's there's a lot more to it.
yeah, you gotta just because look, I mean, there's definitely like you could look back. Again, I think there was even one song he was even referencing that Elvis did about
Hmm.
like was it Girls Doll House,
Yeah, it's
something like that.
Run for Your Life. I forget what the song is called
Yeah, he
though.
was. Yeah. I because because look, Elvis. Look, I mean, my dad still like is a fan because he's friends with his hairdresser Larry Geller.
Mm,
So he kind of has like a little affinity towards Elvis. Like I had an ex who was like, screw him, he's a pedo, and I'm just like, or groomer, or whatever.
yeah.
I'm just like, I don't really think. I mean, I don't think Elvis, or even some people with Michael Jackson, like I think there's some stuff that's over exaggerated with that. But again, I think the big question, I think I always ask people is like, to what degree can you separate the art from the artist? My answer is always like, to a degree. Like
Yeah.
there's always like there's a line in the sand. I do draw. Like
Hmm.
I guess you said your husband's into pro wrestling. I mean, I'm sure you know about
Yeah.
Chris Benoit.
Yep.
Like that was
That's
a
a tough
line.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a line in the sand for me. That yeah, I could if you kill a child, your own, especially your own child, and your wife
Hmm.
and yourself, that yeah that's that kind of you kind of draw the line a little bit.
Hmm.
Am I gonna demand petition for Home Alone 2 Lost New York to edit Trump out of the film? Like, no, because
No.
you got to
Yeah.
preserve the art. Or are you gonna burn every Roman Polanski movie?
Hmm.
No, but I mean, you could do like a book burning type of thing, I guess, but I just don't think
Right.
I don't see the point. Just like I didn't see the point of all the record burning that the bonfires they did in the
Right.
South in the '60s. Oh, because Jesus died for you, John Lennon. How dare you? I'm just like, come on, guys. What are we
Yeah.
doing? What are we doing? And I've got people that want me to like look into you know becoming Christian, things like that, following Jesus, and I'm just like,
I'm okay.
I don't want to
Yep.
get too much into religion, but I understand that they give people a purpose, that people have a purpose by doing stuff like that.
Hmm.
And if as far as like how people interpret lyrics and how they interpret people, like it's all surface level. So you look at something um in a very superficial light. Like nuance is lost, and that's the problem with the internet. A lot of people take things out of context. Like whether it was what happened with me 2 weeks ago in the Discord group, or whether it was
Yeah.
or on social on X, like people get into shouting matches over something that was said out of context. Like people take things either out of context or misinterpret it to think it was real, and
Yeah.
unfortunately that's just our reality we live in. I mean, the best thing we can do is just try to self-regulate what we can't, or and what's the word when you're my, micro, yeah, I guess you're micromanaging, when you're micromanaging your social media and just, muting and just notifications, and learn not to care. I think that's always been a big challenge for me to learn, because people would talk crap about me, and I would care at first, but now I'm learning more and more as I get older. It's better not to care, because I think you're like a year younger than me, right? So
I'm 35.
35, and I'm going to be 36 in November. So yeah.
Okay.
So as you get older, you just kind of, I mean, maybe there's something. Yeah, as you get older, you learn. Like you should have done this when you were younger, but now you're like, it's hindsight. You know what to say, what to do now as a person. So not just because it will get you into trouble if you don't do this, but it just kind of gives you assurance of, yeah, what I did, or what I knew, like, I wish that I knew what I knew now when I was younger, which
Mhm.
is true.
Yeah.
I've as I'm getting older, I'm learning to like get less angry about first world problems. Like, it's just, it used to be,
Right.
I used to be emotionally invested in that stuff, but now, and I know I know I'm going on a tangent
You're good.
about, but
You're
this,
good.
yeah, but this song, just kind of brings out a lot of those questions. Which, again, while the song itself isn't like one of their best work, but it does make you question like things back then versus now, and you kind of ask yourself, where were we as a society then, where are we right now, where are we going? It's just like you think about stuff like that, and I don't know. I don't know, like, well, like, I don't know if you have any commentary on that or not, but it's, I'll leave the floor to you. Sorry, I spoke long
No,
enough.
you're fine. You're fine. It's just, I kind of lost where I was going cuz got stuck in what you were saying, but I totally understand what you mean. It's just about growth and being allowed space to grow. And we should always try to be understanding with each other even when it's like hard to do that. And it doesn't mean, it's like I understand where you are, it doesn't mean I have to forgive or like, say everything's okay or whatever, but we should always try to understand each other as humans and like try to come from a place of like love, I guess, if that makes sense. So
Well, I mean, that's what
yeah.
the Beatles were all about. I think I
Yeah.
think I think bands like the Beatles, and like people we know that like us. I always think they've always encouraged us to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be, just as we would for them. Like,
Yeah.
it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
It's like, the love you take is equal to the love you make.
Right.
It's just how.
Absolutely.
That's true. And so yeah, we're almost 2 hours in, but I'm glad I'm glad we were able to
Yeah.
pull this off. I wasn't sure if it was going to be 30, 40 minutes or an hour,
Yeah.
and I'm glad. I sometimes don't know if I can hold a conversation for 2 hours, let alone one. That's why I'm doing this podcast now, because I want to talk, interact with people, because I've had conversations that lasted 5 hours on the phone, over
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. So
Yeah.
I surprise myself sometimes. But before we go, I want to know if you knew this. This is an interesting little trivia. I'm very curious. I told you, I think, in the email or on the live stream. What is the one thing in common that Hard Day's Night, Help, and Yellow Submarine have in common?
um I'm trying to think outside because Dick Lester's not involved. I don't know. You're going to have to tell me.
So it feels to me like in all three of those films, Ringo's the main character.
Oh, interesting.
I
Interesting
mean,
take on Yellow Submarine.
yeah, because Ringo's the first Beatle that Fred comes to, and
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of, the plot kind of surrounds Ringo in Hard Day's Night. He's the big plot of Help, of trying to get his ring taken off. So yeah, no, I think that's, and it goes to show that, hey, Ringo is always kind of meant to be like this kind of this character actor too, but
Mm-hmm.
I think, he did okay in like some other work
Yeah.
he's done too. I mean, he's not nothing. I can't say I've ever seen anything in that he was bad, and even in bad movies. Like, I no disrespect to Paul, but give my regards to Broad Street, was not a good
Oh
movie.
my god, yeah.
It's not a good movie. But Ringo was fine in it. It wasn't his fault. It was just the material
No,
was bad. It's
Ringo's a good
subjective
actor.
thing.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Caveman, you should. It's good.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, because I know one of the sad things about that movie, because that's where he met his wife, right, Barbara.
Yeah.
That was all because I was always, because I think they finished shooting that right as John died, and
Yeah.
one of the things. if I will definitely try and sit down and watch it. But one of the things they do is they say October 9th BC as a tribute to John, which has
Yeah.
always been tough for me to imagine myself sitting down doing, because I'm like, I always will associate that movie coming out around the time he died. I haven't even heard George's album that came out, or I Stop and Smell the Roses, or
Mm.
I think I heard a little bit of Tug of War because Dad like, because I like the tribute song Here Today and Empty Gar. I don't. I'm never gonna ask the question which John tribute song you like more. Hey Johnny, Empty Garden by Elton John, or Here Today by Paul McCartney, because that's a shitty thing to do, because it's a song about a lost friend of theirs, and I love both of them for different reasons. So,
Mm.
so stuff like that, anything. But like, yeah, it's been 45 years.
Yeah.
I should give some of these movies a watch. I think I remember seeing The Magic Christian when I was young, but I forgot. But you know what? I will
It's
definitely.
extremely gay undertones. It's very funny.
I could see that. Peter Sellers is the kind of actor to do. I mean, he's always, because he's played. By the way, yeah, my girlfriend saw Psycho for the first time, and like the whole
Oh,
plot twist of Norman Bates like completely like blew her mind. Like, what? Like, I didn't know that
yeah.
was gonna happen. And next
Yeah.
time, next time if we do this again, yeah, I'd love to get your husband on. Love to get Tammy on.
Mhm.
I'll write a list of questions, because I don't, because again, like, how much does your husband know about the Beatles? Because Tammy's like,
He
our biggest thing was
he's
we did the.
this it's not so much his thing.
Okay, and yeah, the biggest thing, obviously, me and Tammy did was I introduced her to some of the Beatles and Beach Boys songs, and we did the cosplay I told you about. I was Ron Nasty for a costume contest. She
Mhm.
played the original character June Fang, who was based on May Fang, because
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
couldn't use Chastity because Nazi, but
Yeah.
and also, yeah, because I think, because Chastity's also Caucasian too, and Tammy's Asian, so I don't know how
Yeah.
that would have gone over. Just would have been a bad idea all around. But and I don't know if if you guys ever do cosplay, that's definitely like maybe some, I don't know if you guys want to be like a Beatles couple or not. Maybe he could be. But who's your husband look like the most out of all the Beatles? Would you say?
Well, he's bald and he's got a huge beard, so none of them. But
Uh,
I don't know.
you could pull off Ringo. Ringo was bald once.
Yeah, Ringo was that is the most depressing part of Ringo though. I don't know, but we could talk about it. We could definitely
Yeah,
do something.
I'll
If
do
you
what
want to
I'll do
talk
is,
about wrestling, he would love to talk about wrestling.
yeah, our show is more, yeah, general geek stuff. It's not like just one. That's the thing I want to do about this podcast. So we can talk about any, because one episode, like the episode 3, was just me pretending to be Ron Nasty and
Yeah.
loving, music, movies, and multiple soup. I live by my 3 M's. I
Yeah,
just
there you
did a
go.
whole episode just doing like a, because I didn't want to impersonate John Lennon, because I feel like I just wouldn't do it a good justice. So I might as well do like a parody version of him, where you can kind of like, there's this, I could be completely unfiltered, playing the character. And Tammy was just the quiet, person in the back, kind of like who May Pang was. She was the quiet in the
Mhm.
background character person. And yeah, no, it's great. So what we'll do is, I think, for the, if we ever want to do this again in the near future, what
Yeah.
I'll do is, maybe I'm trying to come up with an idea of like schedules of how maybe what a system schedule system would work, like how in job interviews, like you can like schedule the date and the time. Like, I could
Mm.
like do like a whole Google Calendar thing, like, hey, all right, these are all my available dates. You can click
Mhm.
on which one works best for you. I'm thinking of doing something like that. Maybe
Yeah.
what do you think? That's up. Would that be a cup of tea?
Yeah, that would be cool. I think for the next couple of months, I'm gonna be pretty stacked up because Live Aid is getting into this like really busy part where I'm actually getting pedal to the metal on
I'm
it
looking
now.
forward to that video of
Yeah.
yours, because I don't, again, the only, the three things fourth. I mean, we talk about Led Zeppelin,
Mm.
Queen and Beach Boys Live Aid were probably, maybe because I'm biased for those two bands.
Yeah.
I loved, especially, and I saw Bohemian Rhapsody too, when Freddie Mercury,
Mm.
when Rami Malek played Fred. Like, I love that movie. I mean, Love and Mercy is still my favorite biopic, but Bohemian Rhapsody would definitely be in my top 5. Yes, there's criticism of like from Queen purists, like, oh no, these inaccuracies are insult. Like, it's a movie, guys. It's a movie.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, don't watch it. Just, if it bothers you, make a
Then
documentary. Explain, like, how, like, guy
yeah.
fathead who made the documentary about Supersize Me, which in hindsight you didn't have to, because apparently Morgan Spurlock's an alcoholic. But I'm not going to get into that. Maybe
Yeah.
that'll be a future topic we can talk about, have a debate
That is
about.
that is a crazy story.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is. Oh my god! Like, I just learned about this stuff recently, and just like the Jared Fogle stuff I learned about. Oh my god, that is a
Oh
can of
god, yeah.
worms that will be a
Yeah.
fun topic. But listen, Lars, thank you so much. So where can people find you, and do you have any social media platforms that you want to share?
So, find me on YouTube. It's Lars Land, and then I'm on Instagram. It's This is Lars Land, and I usually respond to DMs if you're normal. So, if you want to hit me up or just follow me, but definitely subscribe. Send a comment. I regularly post in my community tab, and I see you guys there, and I love the support.
Considering you respond to my DMs on Instagram, I guess that means I'm normal. Hopefully,
There
it
you
still
go. Yeah,
happens
you're
to do.
normal. Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
thank
If you
God.
want to support me on Patreon, go to patreon.com/LarsLand.
I
There's
guess
another one.
I
Yeah.
will most certainly. I've been trying to do a Patreon myself. It's I gotta get my ducks in a row for that. But listen, thank
You're
you,
good.
Lars. This has been a great session interview. I'm looking. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
your time. And yes, we will. I got a great guy who will if you will work out the kinks on this for sure.
Yeah.
And have a great
Have a
great
great evening.
great evening, great Halloween's right around the corner. I just did a
Yes.
job working at part-time a job coach job at Six Flags. Great
Oh,
Halloween stuff
cool.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thanks
Yeah.
for any of our viewers for tuning in to our very special episode of the John and Tam Gam Plus podcast. I call it Plus whenever we have just me, more than just me and Tam on here. So thank you so
All
much for being
right.
our plus
Y-
one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right. Bye.